Hello, good morning. Welcome to Axiom Flux News. Live with myself, PJ. Joining me this morning is Blackhole Bridger and Dom. And the first article I've got for us to scrutinise is the one from RT, and it's liftoff because the UK government buys the world's biggest airship. So this is the image of the airship. You might be struggling to work out exactly what it is you're seeing, but this is basically it. It's just probably another thing they're going to use to keep an eye on us, but let's look into that. A giant airship which can stay airborne for weeks at a time could take to the skies next year after the British government handed the project a multi-million-pound grant. Hybrid air vehicle, HAV, it's a new one to me. The British company which designed the Airlander 10 received a £3.4 million grant from the UK government to get the airship off the ground. Inspired by the grey airships of the 1920s, including the ill-fated Hindenburg, the Airliner 10 was originally designed to be used by the US Army for surveillance missions. After the budget cutback stalled the project, the British firm bought the aircraft back from the US government. The UK plans to use its new acquisition, which is capable of carrying up to £20,000 or 9 tons of cargo for up to 5 days without landing, to transport freight around the world. Well, I like that. I like that little sentence. I'm not too sure about this one here, but I like that. I like the idea of what its other capabilities are. It is estimated that running costs for the giant aircraft are 10 to 20% less than an helicopter. Okay, that's not too bad. Spanning 302 feet, 92 meters in length, the Airlander 10 is the longest aircraft in the world. It's based at Cardington in the only air hangar big enough to accommodate the 113-foot, 34-metre wide and 80 feet, 26-metre high vehicle. So it's a big one. Unlike Zeppelin airships of the past, the Airlander 10 has an aerodynamic cambered shape which allows it to create lift like an airplane wing. This unique design enabled engineers to make the machine heavier than air, so ropes aren't necessary to hold it down. The enormous aircraft is powered by 4 turbocharged diesel engines. Some commentators have highlighted the craft's resemblance to a large posterior from certain angles, leading to amusing comparisons with socialite model Kim Kardashian's famous endowments. Hey, I can't complain.
What a load off!
I can't disagree, rather. HAV, the hybrid air vehicle, hope the model will eventually lead to the construction of the Airlander 50, an airship able to transport 50 tons, which is over £110,000 of cargo. UK Business Secretary Vince Cable announced a multi-million-pound government investment on Friday. So, I'm not sure really if it's a good idea to spend all that money on something that resembles the image on the left, but that's Vince Cable for you. The growing airspace sector has the potential to generate thousands of new jobs and billions of pounds to the UK economy in contracts, he said. As part of our long-term industrial strategy, we are jointly funding £2 billion of research and development into the next generation of quieter, more energy efficient and environmentally friendly planes. Friendly planes.
It's a very nice airship.
That includes backing projects like HAV's innovative low-carbon aircraft which can keep us at the cutting edge of new technology. Here is a British company that has the potential to lead in its field. Fans of the Airlander 10 include Iron Maiden lead singer Bruce Dickinson, who has personally invested in the aircraft. Speaking to the BBC, Dickinson compared the aircraft not to Kim Kardashian's but to Thunderbird 2, a fictional aircraft from Britain's children's TV show The Thunderbirds.
Is that Thunderbird 2 because he's got two cheeks?
It will be able to cross the Atlantic and launch things right where they need to be, he said. So let's hope we see a food getting dropped off in certain areas at World Air. With the money that's being put into that. Let's see what good it can come. Okay, moving on, if we've not got no further comments on that one.
You don't want to hear them.
The next one is police use water cannons and tear gas to break up anti-brutality protest in France. So, you know, these guys are protesting anti-brutality, so what do? They come out with water cannons and tear gas. Hundreds of protesters took to the streets of Nantes in Toulouse in demonstrations against police violence. Both rallies were marred by violence as protesters threw stones at security forces, who responded by deploying water cannons and tear gas. About 800 protesters gathered for a demo in the western city of Nantes on Saturday. Local media reported, citing police, the people marched along the streets carrying a banner which read, "Against police brutality, social, economic violence, resistance." There you go, the image there, as you can see. Got a short video of some footage from there. We're going to play that. So as you see there, 13 seconds, it's only short, but I do believe this went on for quite a while. Tensions flared after mass protesters started throwing stones at police officers. Security forces used water cannons to disperse the crowds. A policeman was wounded and taken to a local hospital. At least 2 protesters were arrested, one for carrying a weapon and the other for throwing a projectile. So here's another video here. Mini clips.
This is what Cameron and Co want. We need to be doing to these.
Yeah, well, Boris
especially against Ian Duncan Smith's regime.
Oh yeah. The event was organised to mark.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, the event was organised to mark 1 year anniversary of the 22nd of February protest, which attracted tens of thousands, opposing the Notre Dame de Lande airport project. Local residents said the airport would damage the environment and be too expensive for the region. Protests that followed brought together farmers, ecologists and anarchists, calling themselves Zadists, the French acronym for Development Zone. Don, what was it you was about to say then? You see the images of the bus.
I'd say about Ian Duncan Smith's regime. I mean, he's responsible for thousands of deaths. 4,000 men and 2,000 women or something? 6.
Estimated, it could be a lot more.
Yeah.
Hey, it looks like my road this morning, the bus stop. That's what happens when you keep people waiting stood too long for a bus. In October, a ZAD member, Remy Fraisse, was taking part in a protest over a dam project in the Testet wetlands near the southwestern town of L'Île-sur-Tarn. After a tense standoff between security forces and protesters, he was discovered dead with a wound to his back. The blame was put on a police grenade massive anti-police brutality protests gripped the country following the death, the first such mortality to hit mainland France since 1986. Just to finish this one off, the anti-airport demos in 2014 turned violent, with police regularly deploying tear gas, water cannons and rubber bullets. Several protesters and policemen were injured. Both Nantes and the southern French city of Toulouse became the sites of frequent rallies. There's the last couple of images there for you. Okay, it's quite a bit of artwork there. So that's that one.
Well, they've got a little bit of EDL about them.
Yeah.
In such ways, but about their violence and that. They're not helping themselves when they're throwing stones at local shops.
Is that not the National Front, the NF?
So they reckon.
Fire engulfs Dubai's Torch Tower skyscraper. A dramatic video shows the blaze ripping through the 87-story skyscraper, one of the tallest residential buildings in the world. Unfortunately, we did actually find this article just as we closed yesterday's Flux, so we wasn't able to report it until now, but we've got a video here. Not the best images to see. Something to give you a starting point if you want to look into that. So a huge fire engulfed part of the Torch Tower in Dubai in the early hours of this morning, forcing hundreds of people to flee the 1,100 feet skyscraper. Witnesses said the blaze appeared to have started around 2 AM in the middle of the residential building, rapidly spreading from the 51st floor to the 83rd floor. In several videos posted on social media websites, multiple floors of the 676 apartment high-rise were seen ablaze. Strong winds fanned the flames around the building. Strong winds fanned the flames and burning debris from the fire could be seen falling from the building. One witness said flames shot out from two sides of the building as glass and metal rained down from near the summit of the structure. Another witness said it looked like the Titanic going down, according to GulfNews.com. One resident, Briton Steve Short, 53 from Liverpool, praised the work of the firefighters who arrived quickly. Yeah, not an easy job indeed. He said fire alarms alerted people to the blaze and building management sent workers knocking on doors to ensure residents got out. Residents of at least one neighbouring tower were told to evacuate as a precaution because of high winds, but they were later allowed back inside. It took firefighters several hours before they extinguished the blaze, according to a witness at the scene. The cause of the fire was not immediately clear. Officials said there were no reports of casualties. Expert General Rashid Thani Al-Matrousseh, Director General of the Dubai Civil Defence, said the winds had blown the flames further, making it difficult to fight the fire. But he added, speed, accuracy and response to the condition change. He had seen fire crews able to take control of the blaze. Opened in 2011, the Torch Tower has 87 floors and is one of the world's tallest residential buildings. It is located in the Marina district of the city, which is home to dozens of towering apartment blocks and hotels, many of them built over the past decade. The apartments are popular with Dubai's large number of expatriate professionals. Dubai, known for its skyline of hugely varied skyscrapers, has seen fires at towers in the past. In 2012, a huge blaze gutted the 34 Wheel Tower in the nearby Jamouria Lake Towers district. It was later revealed to have been caused by a cigarette butt thrown into a bin. So, unlike the 9/11, this one still stood there, people going in. I'm not sure if they're still able to access it.
Smoking were banned in Dubai, so did that smoking bug get started in bin.
I'm not sure on that one, Dom.
Yeah. I've heard no reports of it collapsing in its own footprints.
No.
But it's pretty ominous, isn't it? That I read in on it that it was more or less a daily occurrence of false fire alarms. But I mean, it's a pretty much calling it the Torch Tower. Well, it's well and truly torched now, is it not?
Well, at least it brought a bit of free light to the city. Okay, my next one. Moving on, so we're a bit short for time today. Turkish MPs brawling in Parliament. Nothing new, I guess, from over in that region. As you can see, them all having a little tug of war and a little scrap there. Apart from this guy who's looks like he's a cameraman.
I like him was getting his nose, his nose.
Oh, him.
See him, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's our version of Ian Duncan Smith. That's probably like, say, I don't know, maybe Ed Miliband, and I think that could be Nick Clegg.
Didn't this happen before in Egypt?
Say again?
Did it happen before in Egypt? Didn't Egyptians Parliament start fighting?
Yeah.
Like last year.
Yeah. Oh, this is nothing new. They're always at it. Opposition parties are seen brawling on camera in the Turkish Parliament. There's been a number of such arguments recently over the future path of Turkey. The ruling party believes they are saving the country from terror and economic uncertainty surrounding Turkey. The opposition is fearful of the authoritarian nature of President Erdogan and his uncompromising attitude. You can read more at The Independent. This is just one from your Newswire. Short one there for you guys from the Middle East.
Yeah, it's good in that one. Like that one. Okay,
this is I'm actually going to finish off with this one, so we'll come back to that. This one's the new MH17 footage, and it apparently shows militia trawling through burning wreckage and Australian luggage. I'll read a short piece of it before I play the video. Investigators probing the shooting down of Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 have uncovered new footage featuring militia trawling through burning wreckage and Australian luggage and bragging over what they thought had been a military transporter. So this is the one that flew over the area of Ukraine. Still unsure as how that actually, came to be, with flying over a war zone area. No one's putting their hands up, taking responsibility, and no one seems to be, pointing the blame so far. So we'll just play this short video, just over a minute long. Okay, so that was the coffin with remains from MH17 plane crash repatriated. It's not the actual video that we're talking about in this article. Apparently the video is roughly 20 minutes long, and I haven't, sorry, it's 23 minutes long. I haven't been able to find it as yet. But it says the stunning 23 minutes of footage watched by News Corp Australia was found being passed around rebels in Donetsk before a copy was smuggled out of the rebel-held East Ukraine region and passed to investigators. Image there. Just stop this. An image there. The disturbing what appears to be rebels posing for a picture after the MH17 crash. This picture was not taken from the new video. The revelation comes as the Dutch-led team of investigators yesterday announced the physical reconstruction of the aircraft had now been completed, and they would invite families of the 298 victims on board the aircraft when it was shot down last July, including 38 Australian citizens and residents, to see their progress. But the next of kin are not likely to be shown graphic footage uncovered recently by investigators as they attempt to determine who was responsible for the shooting down of the aircraft, killing all on board. The video, the Boeing aircraft is seen still in flames, with the person recording the scene on his smartphone, filming his colleagues in a state of excitement over the shooting down of what they apparently thought was a Ukraine Air Force Antonov transporter plane. In the image there is disrespectful. The new footage contradicts claims by the Russian-backed rebels that the crash scene was treated with dignity and bags were not ransacked. Very soon after the start of the filming, however, the distinctive Malaysian Airlines upholstery can be seen as the armed troops, in a mix of military fatigues, walk across the crash and remark that it did not appear to be military. A debate ensues as each on the scene make a different judgment based on parts of the smoking and at times still burning aircraft that some claim could not be military. The footage continues as they go through the luggage of the passengers strewn about the fields, including backpacks specifically marked with travel tags as belonging to Australian passengers, at which one exclaims, "This says Australia, it's Australian." The footage, panning widely across the whole scene before zooming in, then turns graphic with human remains clearly visible amid smouldering aircraft remnants. Now, I have seen this image, and I'm not too sure, but this image to me looks familiar from another YouTube video. Now, I don't know if this is the one they're talking about. I don't think it is. I think this was one of the very early YouTube videos uploaded last year when this plane came crashing down or blown up in the sky or whatever it were. So the mood of the militia quickly changes to a more somber tone when the enormity of the incident is apparent, although in several scenes in the shaky footage one rebel can be seen wearing the ID card of a flight crew member as he moved to rummage from luggage bag to luggage bag. The footage, from which a transcript has been produced, contradicts claims by the Russian-backed rebels that the scene was treated with dignity and bags were not ransacked. It also doubts over their claims that they had no idea what had occurred, but suspected the whole scene to have been a Ukraine plot to bring Western allies into the then largely civil conflict. Either by accident or design. Only a few faces of those at the scene can be seen in the footage, but at least one has been identified as a senior figure of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic militia. So the police investigators, including officers from the Netherlands and from the Australian Federal Police, have declined to comment about the investigation. And the revelation came through as the Dutch Safety Board, leading the air crash side of the investigation, looking specifically into the cause and contributing factors of the crash, yesterday confirmed it had concluded in a critical phase of their probe. This was to establish the type of impact, although an earlier report into the incident concluded that the MH17 was struck by multiple strikes from high energy from outside the aircraft, suspected of being a ground-to-air missile. The spokesman said next of kin could see firsthand the recovered wreckage on a date in early March. He revealed the team involving members from Ukraine, the Netherlands, Australia, Malaysia, the US, UK and the Russian Federation were also planning to create a three-dimensional reconstruction of the aircraft soon. There you go. I'm not sure if there's any need to make this 3D reconstruction of it, but it's going to be taking place.
I saw they found the black box not very long after the crash, but I still haven't heard any reports from the findings from the black box as yet.
I think a lot's coming out today. As I said, this article is from the Australian news, so this is the earliest I could get on it. But look out for today. There's going to be a lot being mentioned about this article and going out there. Okay, my final article. Father's moving tribute to Noah, who died in hot car. This is a story of a toddler who tragically died in a hot car, as urged parents to hug their children and never let them go. The dad of the toddler who stated that. Distraught Andrew Crespanis paid tribute to his son, 22-month-old Noah, who was found dead in a vehicle parked on the driveway of Kyneton Daycare Centre on Thursday, saying he cherished every day together. We lost our beautiful son today, he wrote on Twitter on Thursday. I love him more every day, forever. I'll always know I cherish every day, every laugh, every adventure, every cuddle. Miss you, Noah. X for a kiss. He added, hug your children, hug them and never let them go. The dad's comments came after detectives revealed they would not be able to speak to the traumatised mum for several days. Homicide Squad Detective Senior Sergeant Shane O'Connell said investigators hadn't been able to speak to the mum and did not expect to do so for several days. As you can imagine, the family of this young boy are devastated by what has occurred, so it's been difficult for us to try and piece together exactly what has occurred, but that's something that will be in the focus of our major ongoing investigation, he said. The mother was present when the young boy was located, and she's absolutely devastated by what has occurred. It's a very tragic set of circumstances. Mr. Crespanis was found by police after the grim discovery at 3 PM and brought back to Kyneton. The couple also have a primary school-aged child. Police are investigating whether the mum mistakenly thought she had dropped Noah at the daycare centre earlier that day before carrying on her normal daily routine and returning to the centre that afternoon. Noah was discovered dead, still strapped in his car seat in the back of a Toyota Hilux at 2:57 PM. Paramedics performed CPR on Noah for several minutes but could not revive him. Ali Evans, who operates the private daycare centre for 6 and 7-year-olds in Banksia Crescent, said she was absolutely heartbroken. I'm absolutely heartbroken for the family and my friend. That is it, she posted on Facebook. Police yesterday revealed the car had only been parked at the centre for a short time before Noah was discovered. Detective Senior Sergeant O'Connell said police were yet to establish exactly what had occurred in the lead up to Noah's death. She's just not been in a position to talk to us, he said, and it's not until we're able to do that that we are able to shed any light on what has occurred. we're keeping a very open mind in respect to the investigation. He added, "It's my understanding the car had only been at the address a very short time, but I can't be more specific than that. The temperature reached 31.6 degrees Celsius in Kyneton by 3 p.m. on Thursday. Devastated residents near the daycare centre yesterday vowed to rally behind the devastated family." Rob Wheeldon fought back tears as he spoke of his distress. His wife was too upset to speak. "I think the town is really upset at what's happened," Mr. Wheeldon said. "A little street like this, we're really feeling for the family and the people around the area. It's just an absolute tragedy, and we're all devastated about it. For such a life to be taken so young is very devastating." Trevor De Silva and wife Trona said, "As parents themselves, their hearts went out to the family. It's really moved us very, very badly, in a great way," he said. So there you go. The final article there. Finishes off by saying, hold on, firefighters had to smash a window of the car at 9:30 a.m. and free the 2 children inside after their mum, Monica, accidentally left the keys inside the locked car. So this is another one.
Well, children up to 4 times faster than adults, so he might not be. Could have only been there a short time.
Yeah, it's all it takes in Australia at them eats. And the incident here with the mother losing her cars inside and left her kids in is not really. It's not really that hard to do, really, is it? It's not hard to do. You know, it's quite easy for you to leave your keys in car, and it's never okay to leave a child in a car. No exceptions, no excuses. It said earlier this month. That was the Ambulance Victoria Group manager, Brett Drummond. He said earlier this month it was frustrating the message wasn't getting through. The state government has promised to increase penalties for leaving children in hot cars, with fines up to $3,700 and jail time increased from 3 months to 6 months. Hug your children, never let them go, guys. That's his words. Okay, that's a wrap up of my articles, and over to you, Paul.
Okay, thank you. Well, my first article is a former small-town Democratic Party chairman plotted to hire hitman to kill girls aged 9 and 10 who he molested before they could testify against him. Michael Gardner, 50, from Falls Church, Virginia, approached inmate in 2013 about finding a hitman. Gardner was convicted in 2011 for molesting 2 girls during his daughter's slumber party for her birthday. Conviction was overturned. In a letter, inmate said he told Gardner his friend could help with his 3 problems he had pre-trial. It was also revealed that 2 prosecutors and a detective were potential murder victims. He was arrested again in October for allegedly abusing a young girl under age 13, who is also a family member. Yeah. How low do these people go? Michael Gardner, a former chairman of Falls Church Democratic Party, how do they get in these positions when they're of this ilk? Definitely not in the right minds are these people. I think the power must corrupt them. It's just unfathomable that he's going to find hitmen to take 2 young children out who he abused. It's not as if they abused him.
I know, it's laughable if it were so serious.
Yeah, it's obvious he's a sociopath. There's no 2 ways about it, and he's very borderline psychopathic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any thoughts?
Well, I hope they lock him away for the rest of his life. I mean, he's in America, so he's looking at a very, very long time. I mean, probably he could get about 40, 50 years, even longer.
Well, especially as it's not just the two young innocent girls that he's trying to take contract out on. He's also said that he is for detectives.
Yeah, he's looking at many life sentences then, yeah. He could get like 500 years for us to do that over there.
Well, he shouldn't see the light of day, really, should he?
No.
But say these sociopaths, they can come over all nice, prim and proper, all nice, all light, and
says here his Gardner's trial is scheduled to begin on March the 4th, but next week a judge is going to determine how the new allegations impact the case.
Hmm.
So I'll have to keep an eye on that one, see what happens.
Yeah. The defendant actually asked, whoa, can we go back?
Did you want to go back onto that, yeah?
Yeah, I was just reading the last bit at the bottom there, PJ.
Is that the part there?
Up a bit, I believe. There we go, the red part. Defendant allegedly asked about hitman to kill child witnesses, and that was from the Washington Post. Yeah. False church man accused of trying to hire hitman to kill young witnesses in molestation trial. Informant Gardner tried to have children witnesses killed. Yeah. He beggars belief.
I mean, how'd they be able to take 2 children out anyway? I mean, it'd be impossible, really.
A professional snitch. That's what Lee Big believes the informant is.
Yeah, but say in these cases, when it's concerning child abuse and sexual abuse and that, I praise snitches. I praise them for snitching because they're not really snitches. They are doing the right thing. They're not just standing by and watching these things happen. They're taking a proactive stance from my point of view. Yeah,
definitely. There's not that many about though, is there? If the ones that are usually get attacked for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
With the militia and your Bill Maloney and all others. And this one. Next one, Paul.
Yeah. Daily Telegraph suicide story gets scathing Twitter response. Anonymous article suggested unreasonable pressure at the News UK contributed to deaths of 2 staff. The Daily Telegraph has published an anonymous story on its front page suggesting that 2 suicides at a rival newspaper could be connected to pressure to hit commercial targets. Days after its chief political columnist quit, alleging that editorial decisions on the Telegraph were being influenced by commercial decisions. That was Peter Oborne that decided he's had enough, the truth isn't getting out, they're not reporting on it. The article, which appeared on the bottom of the front page of the newspaper with the byline, Daily Telegraph reporter, said News UK, which publishes papers including the Times and the Sun, had launched an internal investigation into the deaths. The article claims there are fears that staff are being put under unreasonable pressure to hit targets in its commercial department. A spokesman for News UK told the Telegraph, "We would never comment on the details around an employee's death, but very sadly we lost 2 members of staff in unconnected circumstances in the recent months from our London and Manchester offices." The company's HR procedures are second to none, with weekly and often daily meetings with team leaders, a compulsory induction and training day for new starters, and a proud open door policy for all employees. In keeping with our high standards, we are currently conducting an internal investigation. Earlier in the week, the Times and the Guardian had disclosed that the Telegraph's owners had secured a £250 million loan from HSBC for their struggling parcel company, Yodel. Shortly before the newspaper's reporters were alleged to have been discouraged from running articles critical of the bank, the Telegraph also published a story critical of the Guardian on Friday, again with anonymous byline. On Wednesday, the Telegraph's chief political columnist, Peter Oborne, announced he had quit the paper and launched a scathing attack on the paper's management. The owners over its lack of coverage of the HSBC tax scandal. The story about the death of the Times employees attached a strong backlash, with many other journalists suggesting it marked a disgusting low from the newspaper. Yeah, well, they're not going to report on the people that are paying their wages, are they? With all the tax, all the ad revenue they're getting from them. In an article on Friday night, BuzzFeed UK reported a source at the Telegraph saying, "I don't think any journalist at the Telegraph agrees with what's going on at the moment." On Sunday, it published an update based on further contacts with Telegraph staff, who it said were disgusted and bewildered by the story's publication, it added. 3 individuals with knowledge of the newsroom claimed the reporter who wrote the anonymous piece did not bring in the story themselves, but was given it to write by their superiors at the newspaper. One source in the newsroom saw the reporter arguing with the news desk over the story, while a second described a newsroom culture where journalists could not veto stories they did not want to write.
So I was just wondering, in this further bit up here, it's saying there was being alleged to have been discouraged. So I'd love to know in what ways these reporters were being discouraged.
Yeah, more likely like a faint threat of losing their job, maybe.
Well, there's always room on Flux News. You want to get your truth out?
Yeah.
For as long as we can, this is the place. Okay, yeah, great articles then, interesting finds, Blackhole.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll pass on to Dom now, shall we?
Yeah, sure can. Over
yeah,
to you, Dom.
Good article there. Yeah, the first article, Syria-bound London teenagers may have been recruited by a Scottish woman. This is Axiom Mahmood, has been in Syria for more than a year. This is the Scottish woman who we're talking about here. Relatives of a Scottish woman who is suspected of helping to recruit 3 missing London teenagers to Islamic State have said she is a disgrace to her family. Axiom Mahmood, 20, travelled to Syria from her Glasgow home to become a jihadi bride in November 2013. The Daily Mail reported she had been in touch with at least one of the 3 London girls, who were aged 15 and 16. The trio are thought to have flown to Turkey in an attempt to enter Syria. Shamima Begum, 15, Khadija Sultana, 16, and an unnamed 15-year-old girl, who all attended Bethnal Green Academy in Tower Hamlets, travelled to Turkey on Tuesday. They had been were interviewed by police after another girl from their school went to Syria in December but were not considered as a risk. In a statement released through their lawyer, Anwar, the Mahmoud family said they were full of horror and anger that their daughter may have had a role to play in the recruitment of these young girls to Islamic State. They also sent a message to Axa: "You are a disgrace to your family and the people of Scotland. Your actions are perverted and evil distortion of Islam. You are killing your family every day with your actions. They are begging you stop if you ever loved them." So yeah, the statement also said that UK security services had questions to answer. Axa's social media has been monitored since she disappeared over a year ago, it added. Yet despite alleged contact between the girls and Axa, they failed to stop them from leaving the UK for Turkey, a staging post for Syria. So these are the girls. I mean, that's where they're going. They travel to Turkey and then travel to Syria from Turkey. So Turkey authorities have a involvement here, a responsibility. But sadly, despite all the government's rhetoric on Islamic State, if they can't even take basic steps to stop children leaving to join ISIS, what is the point of any new laws? Proudly educated Mahmoud travelled through Turkey to Aleppo in Syria, where she married an Islamic State fighter. She was reported to have later encouraged terrorist acts via a Twitter account under the name Law. The account has since been deleted. Speaking in September, her parents, Khalada and Mustafa Mahmoud, said their daughter had attended Craigholme School, then university, and was well integrated in society. They also said she was brought up with love and affection in an happy home and appealed for her to come home. Well, if she does come home, she'll be going straight to prison, so can't see her coming home very soon. So, but let's hope the three girls, well, if they're already in Syria now, I don't think they'll be allowed to come home because Islamic State fighters aren't allowing anyone. There's many women who are reported to want to come home but can't get back. So, yep. Meanwhile, British bouncer heads to Iraq to join fight against Islamic State. This is the former bouncer, Tim Locke. A British bouncer sacrificed a life of luxury after selling his home and moving to Iraq to fight against Islamic State. Tim Locke, 38, was a doorman at Cheeky's nightclub in Staines, Surrey, and ran his own construction firm before joining the fight against the brutal Islamists. He has now joined a Christian militia called Dawaka Norshaw and told the Mail Online that he decided to take part in the fight against IS after watching horrific news reports. Last summer I was at home watching the news and I saw pictures of Mount Sinjar. I just thought I have a great life, job, beautiful house, and I thought it is time to help someone else, he said. He continued, I had no specific wishes to join a specific group. I just wanted to help people out here. Any society which kills people, cuts people's heads off, needs to be challenged. I put my home on the market and started to talk with a guy online. My house sold quickly and I met en route with my friend from online. Mr. Locke arrived in Kurdistan earlier this month after flying from Heathrow and catching a connecting flight to the city of Sulayman Manayar. Speaking of his arrival, he insisted that he had made the right choice in heading to Iraq. Here he is in Iraq. He said, back home I had a TV in every room, a swimming pool, 6 to 8 holidays abroad a year. I did what I pretty much want when I wanted. Now I'm here, helping people with next to nothing, with a group of guys I've known less than a couple of weeks, but who feel like family already. However, he admitted that his family were petrified for my safety, and that is very understandable, but they knew they would not be able to talk me out of this. Although Mr. Locke plans to eventually take part in the frontline fight against IS, he is currently lending his hand to local construction projects in Iraq's Nawar province. Here again. We're good.
Yeah, it started that article, Dom, if you just want to scroll up it just a little bit at the top, yeah? Because it was mentioned that he got to see all these beheadings and all these acts that ISIS were doing, but he stated that he got to see it through the TV, through the news. Now, yet again, this all stems not through the actual beheadings or what the ISIS are doing, it's coming from him watching it on the news. And he sounds very serious because he's sold everything up. He's sold his house, got rid of his car, so he don't really sound like he's got plans on coming back. And the people he's gone to meet, he's only known him for a few weeks.
Well, I think we might see him in the news soon as an hostage.
All from watching a bit of news on TV.
I think he's mad at me. He's going to get caught.
Well, it sounds a bit fishy to me, to be honest.
To base the whole of the rest of his actions on a bit of news, which could be slighted in any direction, it seems a bit...
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I pointed out, Blackhole. You know, it's not the fact that, you know, people are getting beheaded and that. It's the fact that he watched it on news. What made him do it? So it's not a very good. It's not a very good foundation, is it, to build the rest of your life on? Watching something on news.
Or is this a kind of a poster boy for others to do the same?
Oh no.
Well, there's been a few in news in recent weeks who have been who have gone to Syria to fight. I mean, there was an Australian man as well, weren't there? Who's gone from Australia to fight Islamic State. That were reported in the news, and there's been a couple of British people, but government has said that anyone travelling to Syria will be treated as a terrorist, regardless if you fight in Islamic State or if you're not.
But this guy's gone to Iraq, has he not?
Yeah, yeah.
But good luck to him. I hope he keeps safe. But I hope I don't see him in the news as an hostage. But
yeah, we'll look out for that one. I can expect that to happen.
Yep. Meanwhile, John Prescott's back. He's set to return to frontline politics. Prescott will serve 13 years as deputy leader of the Labour Party, who was deputy leader to Tony Blair. Prescott is returning. The former Deputy Prime Minister will focus on trying to help a future Labour government seek agreement at climate change talks due to take place in Paris in December, Labour sources say. Mr Miliband thought there was no one better for bashing heads together, the show said. Lord Prescott left the Commons in 2010. In his column in the Sunday Mirror, he said, "My brief is to raise ambition on this crucial issue, and I'm proud to hope the man I hope will be the next Prime Minister, so that together we can help the next generation." Oh, he's got to say that, doesn't he? Lord Prescott has a wealth of experience in climate change and environmental issues, having served as the EU's lead negotiator at the Kyoto talks, which spawned the first global agreement on cutting carbon emissions in 1997. Ed Miliband, who was a former Energy and Climate Change Secretary, has written in the Observer that he wants the Paris talks to set a goal of net zero global carbon emissions for the second half of this century. Lord Prescott, who turns 77 in May, served for 13 years as deputy leader of the Labour Party under Tony Blair. He resigned as deputy prime minister in 2007. His time in government was marked by controversy over a 2-year affair with the secretary and an incident when he punched a man who threw an egg at him during a general election campaign. In 2012, he stood as a Labour candidate in the election to be the first police and crime commissioner run beside police, but lost to Conservative Matthew Grove. The BBC political correspondent Robin Brandt said the appointment may be seen as an attempt by Mr Miliband to deal with the threat from Ukip, who are trying to target traditional Labour voters in the north of England. A renewed focus on climate change issues is also likely to be seen as a attempt to rebut advances from the Green Party as the elections get closer, our correspondent said. So yeah, John Prescott's back.
He's using the banner of climate change. Basically what he's saying is global warming, which that has been proven out and out hoax, lie and everything else, and he's waving that banner.
Yeah.
Well, it's him all over, isn't it, John Presser? He had offices in his office when he was in power, and in that office he was setting up common purpose in there. And this is what we got in all our institutions all through the country now. Common purpose is the underlying government running. And he helped set it all up, and it's those that have been bringing this country down to its knees, collapsing it from within, subversive from within enemies. Well, it's obvious he's shouting the banner of climate change, isn't it? He talks a load of dribble.
Yeah, I mean, I hope this time it's more work and less croquet. Is that what you're playing?
Oh, I don't know how he's got the audacity. I don't know how the man's got the audacity. And I bet he's got a dance like more than 2 jags now to shout about. Well, it's nothing to shout about. It's just as dirty as the rest corrupt bunch. It don't matter, left wing, right wing, that old paradigm is the wings of the same bird all the way through. It's all who's pulling their strings. This is where we need to get to. Who's pulling their strings? Who's dangling that carrot? Who's dangling that carrot? That money-laced carrot in front of their noses to do what they do? Or who's got a hold over them, blackmailing them?
Yeah, well, it could backfire for Ed Miliband, so we'll have to watch this space.
Well, Labour definitely don't get my vote, let's put it that way, with this man being brought in to run it.
Well, it's an improvement than the rumours of bringing Tony Blair back.
They say that they're all as corrupt as each other, you know, whether they be Labour, Conservative, they're all basically well corrupted. They've been in power for far too long. Well,
Blair won't be back. Blair's found his gold mine. He's worth about 30 million now. What he's made from peace talks in Middle East.
Well, he's gone over to Serbia now. He's working for Serbia government.
Yeah, he's got 30 million. You say?
30 million he's worth.
30 million. Yet he dare not walk down the street on his own. Is that what 30 million does for you? That you dare walk down the street without bodyguards round you?
Yeah, he always has a security team around him. Because there's a waiter who tried to do a citizen's arrest on him. If you remember that story.
Yeah, they are absolutely scared to their core. Frightened little rabbits without their bully boys around them.
So they should be.
Right, next article is ex-Ukip councillor Rozanne Duncan, no regrets over comments. A councillor expelled by the Ukip UK Independence Party over what Nigel Farage described as deeply racist comments, says she has no regrets. Rozanne Duncan, who sits on the Thanet District Council, was filmed making the comments as part of BBC documentary Meet the Ukippers, airing on Sunday. Which is today, sorry. Mrs. Duncan said she felt betrayed after being expelled in December for bringing Ukip into disrepute. But she has insisted she is not racist and does not regret what she said. She now represents Clifton East in the Thanet South seat, where Ukip leader Mr. Farage is running for Parliament as an independent councillor. In the Fly on the Wall documentary, Mrs. Duncan was recording. Well, let's go watch the video. This is the video about what she says, which is the documentary which is on tonight. Are you ready to play it, Paul?
Yeah, got the video going right up.
South Thanet, the seat on the Kent coastline that Nigel Farage hopes to win for Ukip at the election in May, now once again in the political spotlight.
I was a member of the Conservative Party for 22 years.
A BBC documentary team spent the end of last year with local Ukip supporters, including Rozanne Duncan, who was then a Ukip councillor. Back in December, she made comments in front of the cameras that can now be broadcast for the first time ahead of the documentary's airing tomorrow. Despite first declaring she wasn't a racist, she went on to say,
"The only people I do have problems with are Negroes. And I don't know why. I don't know whether there's something in my psyche or whether it's karma from a previous life, but I really do have a problem. with people with Negroid features. We really do. A friend of mine said, what would you do if I invited you to dinner and I put you next to her? I said, I wouldn't be there. Simple as that. I said, I wouldn't be there.
Miss Duncan's colleague, clearly shocked, challenged her view, but admitting she really did have a problem for which she needed help, she went on.
I was born at the late 40s, early 50s, when, especially down in Thanet, there weren't any, you know, and I wasn't brought up with them. Now, that's no justification at all. It doesn't answer the question, why is she like that with them and not anybody else? Really bizarre.
Ukip HQ was told about the comments at the time and expelled Miss Duncan from the party immediately. This week, Nigel Farage said her views weren't shared.
What was said was wholly inappropriate, at odds with what UKIP stands for, and we just don't tolerate that sort of thing.
Miss Duncan declined an interview before seeing the documentary, but in a letter to her party, she said her comments weren't racist or derogatory. She felt she'd been treated unfairly by UKIP, and said in no way was it her intention to cause offence. UKIP's been caught up in claims of racism before, but this time it's here in Thanet, right where they need support for the general election. The question is, will this dent their popularity, or will supporters simply see this focus on one woman's comments as an attempt to discredit the party? The BBC said its documentary was designed to be a close-up look at the party's activists in this potentially winnable seat, and was made with UKIP's agreement. The fast-growing party has had to cope with renewed scrutiny and sometimes unwelcome focus. Alex Forsyth, BBC News, South Thanet.
So she doesn't know why.
Well, she was forced out of UKIP when the party became aware of her comments, but Mrs Duncan claimed there was an hidden agenda behind her expulsion and insisted there was nothing racist or derogatory in what she said. She said, I don't regret saying it. I don't regret anything. That's the truth. I still honestly believe that what I said was never at any time racist. I used the word Negroes as you would do Asians, Chinese, Muslims, Jews. It's a description, it's not an insult. In the same way as you would say, what do you mean by Jewish? Well, they belong to a community. They have got a certain faith. They have usually got noses that have got a bit of a curve to them. Married women, if they are Orthodox Jews, wear wigs. It's description. Mr Farage said last week, I've seen the film, but she is alleged, and she confirmed to us that she made a series of racist comments that is at odds with what we stand for. In a letter to UKIP chairman Steve Crowther last month, Mrs Duncan said she had been expelled from the party without being offered the courtesy of a right to reply via disciplinary hearing. She said she had no intention of appealing against the decision. The BBC documentary also features UKIP's Thanet South chairman Martin Eel speaking about the media attention over his brief past membership of the National Front. In the programme, he says, for Christ's sake, I was never a member of the Gestapo. I was not a member of the Stasi. I was never served a term of imprisonment in my life. Meet the UKIPers is on BBC 2 at 10 o'clock on Sunday tonight. So if you're interested,
yeah, if you want to tune in,
watch.
If you'd like to tune into the stereotypical racist, don't forget it airs tonight.
Talking about racism, my next article is similar. UKIP ratchet themselves. UKIP slammed for disgusting Dad's Army Facebook post showing Tories and Labour invading UK with the EU Nazis. So, they ratchet themselves. I think they had to get rid of her just to save face, really. The post on the UKIP Newport branch Facebook page was called abhorrent. I mean, this is Labour, you've got Tories, you've got Lib Dems coming to Britain, and UKIP's here. Bit of UKIP under attack.
I quite like it, to be quite honest.
I would if it weren't racist.
Well, a UKIP post showing the Conservatives, Labour and the Liberal Democrats invading Britain with EU Nazis has been slammed as abhorrent and highly insensitive. The graphic, which is inspired by the opening titles of Dad's Army, shows a swastika with the EU logo attacking the UK with arrows reading Labour, Tories and Lib Dems, while a British arrow reading UKIP Defence. In the post entitled, Who do you think you are kidding, Mr Cameron? if you think all the England's done on the official UKIP Newport branch page was branded disgraceful. For UKIP to choose a Nazi symbol and a graphic is simply abhorrent, suggests more than the Labour MP for Newport East. There's another picture here, what they've done.
Yeah, to me it's no different from World Wars, really, is it? When how they looked at Hitler and the Germans at the time, you know, it's not different now. We're doing it again. It's round 2. Attack your own and bring them over.
Except we were having to fight with those that are fighting us from within. Instead of across the channel. They're already here. They're already working from within. The enemy within. All subversive, all being pushed by the EU, right back from Ted Heath's time. And Ted Heath was actually being blackmailed to do what he'd done through paedophilia.
Well,
this is what it's all about.
That's the power of the dirt currency, Paul.
Yeah.
Well, a fortnight ago, the local UKIP candidate was removed following publication in the media of his support for the far-right BNP in English Defence League. So he obviously is a UKIP supporter of them. I mean, really, UKIP, they're just like Tories. They're just a new Tories, aren't they, really?
Yeah, Tories in disguise.
Well, yeah, I bet when Conservatives could have set them up knowing that they were losing power and support from public, probably set UKIP up. Probably.
It's just another.
Sorry,
I was just saying, it's just another choice of bullet. That's all. They've just added a new bullet to menu, and now you get to pick whether you want to be shot with UKIP bullet.
Yeah.
Well, spokesman for Nigel Farage's party has admitted the post may have been in bad taste.
So it makes me giggle because it resonates with me because I remember watching that as a young boy. So it resonates with me.
Are they not supposed to be bringing Dad's Army back or something like that, I heard?
Yeah, they're bringing the film. They're making a film of it.
Oh, is that it?
Stupid boy.
Right, my next article. People stripped of benefits could be charged for challenging decision. Critics argue that the proposal in leaked document from the Department for Work and Pensions would hit the poorest people in the country. People who have been stripped of benefits could be charged by the government for trying to appeal against the decision to an independent judge. Critics said the proposal contained an internal Department for Work and Pension document leaked to The Guardian would hit some of the poorest people in Britain who are being left with little or no income. In the document about the department's internal finances, officials say the introduction of a charge for people making appeals against decisions to social security tribunals would raise money. How much that would be, we don't know. Other ideas, including selling off child support debt to the private sector to collect, though civil servants remarked that the government would be unlikely to raise more than 5 to 7 pence in the pound from the 1.4 billion currently owed to the Department of Work and Pensions. The department currently collects arrears. Earlier this week, figures showed that in the past year, nearly 900,000 people have had their benefits stopped. The highest figure for any 12-month period since job seekers allowance was introduced in 1996. Well, that shows you where your fall in employment is. It's the people being sanctioned, not that people are getting jobs. In recent months, however, 58% of those who wanted to overturn DWP sanctions decisions in independent tribunals have been successful. Before 2010, the success rate of appeals was 20% or less. One welfare legal advisor said the number of appeals being lodged at independent tribunals would be decimated if the government introduced a charge. Last year, the Ministry of Justice, which set policies in the area, brought in charges for employment tribunals of up to £250 to lodge a claim, depending on the kind of case being brought. The union Unison asked judges to review the policy, saying the number of claims had dropped by more than half after fees were introduced. Our court judges declared the policy lawful this month. In the DWP efficiency review, which is March restricted It says the proposal for charging for social security tribunals is already under investigation by the MOJ, and officials intend to revisit in the wake of viewings and court challenges. However, the 80-page document points out the policy will entail no revenue generation, no efficiency for the DWP per se, but will however generate income for the Justice Department. The policy proposal leak comes as the Prime Minister and senior religious leaders clash over the benefit system. In a letter to the Daily Mirror, 27 Anglican bishops blame David Cameron for creating a national crisis in which hundreds of thousands of people have been forced to survive on the charge of food banks because of punitive sanctions and other DWP failures. There's obviously a link between these sanctions and food banks, because before the Tories came to power, there weren't no food banks around.
No, but that's not to say that people weren't struggling, because we've always had people in that position where they've been needing food.
Yeah, but when people weren't having sanctions like they are now. I mean, a person with learning difficulties, he was sanctioned for being 4 minutes late for his interview.
Yeah,
appointment, and he was sanctioned, and he was nearly found starving to death. He'd not eaten for 5 days. He was on the verge of death.
Well, going back to your headline for this article, I think what it's all about this is because they know what they're doing is illegal. They're going to just try and make money from it, because they know they can't really stop claimants appealing, and if these people did appeal, they probably chances of winning it would be quite high. So these guys have said, well, we might not be able to do much about that, but what we can do is make a bit of money from it.
Yeah, they're just ratcheting up the all-out attack on the vulnerable and the poor.
To me,
that's what I mean. They're making money from poor. I mean, that's where you can make money from.
Yeah, but to me, it just shows how weak they are, because they know by doing this that they haven't got the power to actually do it in the way they want. So what they're doing now as a plan B sort of backup thing is they're saying, well, yeah, if you want to appeal against decision, we'll charge you, because they know full well for those people who appeal will win it, and they'll get all the money backdated, and then these people like David Cameron is going to be left with a sour face. So they come up with this to try and get a step ahead and think, well, you know, we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Well, I think it's wrong. I mean, sanctions only hit the poorest people, and it's the poorest people who won't have the money to pay to appeal. So,
you know, it's like
built policy.
To me, the job seekers allowance that we've got going, that people are on, it's an allowance to job seek. It is not what you're entitled to live on. You're not given that money to live on. That is just so you can go out and look for work. The minute you stop doing that, that's when your money stops. So what money are you left to live on? Where's your money coming that you're entitled to live on? That the law states you're entitled to live on. But you don't get any of that. None of us have ever seen that.
Yep. Right, my next article is a little bit different. Cambridgeshire Church plague graffiti reveals heartbreaking find. Heartbreaking graffiti uncovered in Cambridgeshire Church has revealed how 3 sisters from one family died in a plague outbreak in 1515. The name Catherine, James, Amy, Madiganley and the date were inscribed on stonework in Kingston Parish Church. This is the graffiti. It's been reworked to highlight the writing, because otherwise it's nearly invisible to the eye. So they've gone over it, but this is what it was. Which was written in the 16th century.
Nice job, Dom.
Yep, it was found by Norfolk and Suffolk medieval graffiti survey volunteers. Archaeologist Matt Champion said the project had shown church plague graffiti was far more common than previously realised. The most heartbreaking inscriptions are those that refer to long dead children, he said. The Madigley graffiti is hidden under lime wash near the door in All Saints and St Andrew's Church. The family lived in Kingston, 7 miles from Cambridge, and were tenant farmers who rarely turned up in parish records, he said. Mr Champion believes Catherine, Jane and Amy must have been children because their names are not found as adults in any of the records. In 1515 there was an outbreak of bubonic plague in London, which spread across southeast England. Mr. Champion said, Cambridge University suspended its classes, and large gatherings of people were banned, just as we see today with the Ebola outbreaks in Africa. Children were particularly hard hit, and usually hastily buried in unmarked graves. The graffiti survey was set up in 2010 and is the first attempt to survey pre-Reformation graffiti in churches since the late 1960s. Volunteers used digital cameras and powerful lamps to reveal previously hidden or faded markings. This is another graffitier, like graffiti in the Cambridgeshire Church, which the project hopes to survey some of the more county's churches. At least 60% of the 650 churches surveyed in Norfolk, Suffolk and North Essex have significant amounts of graffiti, and volunteers have recorded up to 500 pieces in many of them. The project has confirmed more graffiti is found to have been created during times of pestilence such as the Black Death of 1349 and subsequent outbreaks of plagues. It was a votive offering at a time where prayer counted, Mr. Champion said. So yeah, that's graffiti what's found in churches 100 years old.
Well, that's interesting stuff.
And it's actually quite common to be found in churches, so you just got to look in the right places. But now they're serving them all now anyway, they're all going to be done and checked and preserved.
Mm.
Well, they need to opt to preserve some of these churches because there's nobody going to them anymore. So, you know, if there's no use for them apart from other things like nurseries and karate and whatever it might be, then they might have to start charging people to come and look at a few of these graffiti scribes.
Yep, right, and finally, from me tonight is man who waits food eats a kilo of Marmite a month to survive. Marmite famously divides opinion, but for one man, it's a lifesaver. Pussy eater John Pearson has to top up his vitamin intake by eating at least a kilo of the yeast extract a month. So-confessed food eater survives on Marmite sandwiches and toast. And toast claims the condiment is the only reason he stays healthy. Marmite has been my lifesaver. I hate food. I don't eat for pleasure, only because I'm hungry. I eat to stay alive, said the 48-year-old engineer. John's kitchen cupboards are virtually empty, and he only keeps butter, cheese, and milk in his fridge. There's only bread in his freezer, and his cupboards are all to his blood Marmite and a couple of boxes of cereal. I go to the supermarket and buy everything I need for the week, and it costs me about £10, he says. £10. Obviously, I get massive jars of Marmite, loaves of bread, cheese and butter. John believes his problem started when he was 18 months old and a virus made he vomited everywhere. As a child, he dreaded lunchtime when the dinner ladies would force him to eat his school meal. I'd sit there feeling really miserable, just staring at my plate of food. John never goes to restaurants, doesn't eat vegetables or meat, and hates a traditional Sunday lunch. He will, though, eat chips on a Saturday with his brother. John is so fussy, his two ex-wives put part of the blame his eating habits on their breakup. Despite his food fad, he is fighting fit and is a second dan black belt in karate. After sessions with a psychiatrist, he managed to eat raw carrots, grapes and bananas, but John said, I couldn't keep it up. So he's back on Marmite sandwiches.
Marmite mania.
I can't stand the stuff, I hate it.
Well, let's hope these food banks don't start stocking up on Marmite after seeing this article, eh?
No. But I mean, at least he has a cheap food bill, doesn't he? £10 a week. That's all he pays you.
Whole new meaning to my mate Marmite.
Well, if that's the case, then according to the government saying we need £4 something a day to live, if this guy can do it in a tenner a week, oof, we're going to keep that.
Going to have us all on Marmite sandwiches.
Don't let Ian Duncan Smith hear about this, whatever you do.
Yeah, but 1/5 of his £10 allotment for his food is spent on Marmite. That's just one jar.
Yep, that's my final article for tonight. Back over to you, Paul.
Alright, Dom, good stuff. Thanks for your articles and you too, Blackhole. That's all we've got time for on this episode of Flux News. Do join us again tomorrow for some more. Until then, take care and look after yourselves.